Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Connection podcast, the only fan-based podcast to get all the ins and outs of the rugby world. Well, Stack Saturday is what I've been calling it, and it definitely didn't disappoint. Just the two of us this week, me and Andy. How are you getting on, mate?
Yeah, good. Exhausted after all that rugby at the weekend, all that content.
So tired. I did it. I actually did the marathon. I watched every game.
That's impressive.
And doing that with two kids that are under 5. Not easy, but I managed.
Pretty impressive, mate, I have to say.
Thank you. So we'll just start right at the beginning. Over in Tokyo, Eddie Jones versus Steve Borthwick, Japan versus England. Did it live up to the hype? Not really. England kind of got a bit comfy with it, and it was expected. Japan did come out the blocks really fast, but then England just went, no, not like that today. Marcus Smith was really impressive to me, controlling the tempo. The pass he did to Phil Bosso's try, the chip and chase for Henry Slade's try was great. It was fun until Charlie Hughes lost it again.
Yeah, it was a bit sad, that moment, wasn't it?
I think they broke it down to like he's had 2 red cards in the equivalent of 5 minutes international.
Oh God, yeah, because it was like the first minute of that Ireland game in the Six Nations, wasn't it? And then he'd only just come on. God. He must have the worst ratio of any international player of all time, minutes to reds.
Surely his international career's finished, without trying to sound harsh about it.
I mean, one of the best second rows in the Premiership this year, though. Like, definitely in there on merit. So, I don't know what you could definitely say poor technique, right? To hit the guy around the knee. But has he meant to go and do that?
This is actually a thing that I hate talking about. So like any hit contact or like hits like that to the leg, and they go, we're looking for like intent. I don't think any player has deliberately went to injure somebody. So that needs to be out of the conversation. You can't ask the TMO, did he do it on purpose?
No, but what I mean is there are times where someone comes flying into a ruck and it's reckless and they have their arm tucked, right? And at that point you can say like, well, he might not have wanted to hurt anybody, but he certainly didn't care if he did. Whereas this, it looks like it maybe starts out as quite a normal attempt at a clear out, and he just ends up with his body in the wrong place. But they are coached, they are aware that you can't go anywhere near a lower limb, right? Like they do know that. So I see what you're saying, but I
don't know.
I reckon it's more unlucky than it is anything else. But that said, I have never been an international player at the bottom of a ruck, so I don't know what's going through their heads.
It was the whole. On the other side, how Michael Weeks didn't break his leg, I do not know.
Mate, flexibility. He's a good athlete.
But so, where does Japan go from here then? Really?
Well, I think like
we don't see them often either.
Yeah,
doesn't help.
As well, like that 2019. So they got that big win against South Africa in 2015, right? That put them on the map. Then they had that amazing World Cup campaign in 2019, but they were at home, right? That adds a real extra layer to what you're able to achieve. I think they were always going to get muscled out of it by quite a good England team. Let's be honest. Like they're kind of purring at the moment. And if a couple of passes had gone to hand in the first half, I think the scoreline wouldn't have been so. It wouldn't have looked so bad for them. But England, England put 50 on them, and they didn't play for the first 20 minutes. Didn't really play for the last 15 minutes. Like that's pretty ominous from England, I think.
Makes a change really from what we've had from England, but there is one Japanese player I want to give a shout out to because he's fantastic. Warner Dearns, the big second row that caught it one-handed, ran half and then popped it in for a nice try. Second row has that ability, but fair enough.
That catch was something, wasn't it?
It was sensational. So yeah, more more of Warner Dearns, please.
Do you
I don't
know
know.
how he's ended up in the Japan team? Because he's a Kiwi, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not just residency, or is he
Yeah.
Japanese? Yeah,
Well, but that's
residency.
what I was wondering. Like, but did they? Because I saw Quay Cooper on Coco maybe last month talking about like what the plan is within Japan, and it's to bring people over at kind of high school age. They get a great education in Japan. They get totally immersed in the rugby culture with a view to becoming internationals. And Cooper was saying what happens with a lot of them is, they love the life in Japan. So they settle down, they might marry a Japanese woman. And I think the idea is, eventually they'll have kids and you're starting to build this little rugby pipeline from within the country. Like, it's pretty clever.
I mean, it's a very like wide range like process.
Well, you're building for the future, right? Like they obviously don't produce that many players.
Yeah.
When I was in Japan, I went for the World Cup in 2019. We were talking to locals and they were saying rugby used to be way bigger there. It's like a thing that older people are into in Japan these days. And it used to be much bigger. So I think they're trying to figure out a way to bring it back to the glory days.
Fair enough.
I mean, I heard that in a bar in Japan, so take it with a pinch of salt, but that's my understanding.
Better source than what I've ever had. I don't know, it's really weird because obviously like you see big name like for the Japanese league, you see big names go across. And I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a watch. Like Barrett's there, Karevi's there, X, Y, and Z. Then you watch it and I'm like, I can't watch it. So like I tried watching Bound Barrett's like first season when he went to Santa Fire. He came on with 15 minutes left on the clock and scored a hat-trick. Yeah. I was like, this is taking the piss. You have got world class, like world players of the year going up against college students, essentially.
Yeah.
And there's no gap in between. So like when Ardi Savea went across this year, Ardi's tearing it up in Japan. I'm like, well, yeah. Of course Ardi Savea's tearing it up in Japan. And I can't watch it just because the gulf is so massive.
That was another interesting thing about 2019, actually, was, Jamie Joseph had them in Japan camp for a year before the tournament. Yeah. They didn't have a usual club set up. They were literally all with him, playing matches under him for a whole year. So he basically had a club side of players. So he was able, and they had like the likes of Himeno, Matsushima, like players who then went abroad to play elsewhere. Yeah. So yeah, the standard well, like you say, it's not professional, right? You can't expect professional standard from there. And then you've just got these worldy foreign players just having a bit of fun.
I mean, just when we interviewed Colin Slade, and I asked like what, because he felt like one of the bigger ones that first went to Japan before it became a regular thing. So I was like, what is it about Japan that makes everyone go, I'm going there for a year? He's like, it's easy rugby. He's like, playing as long a schedule. The competition is not as high, so you're not like wear and tear on your body each week, and you like fresh, almost like put an extra 5 years on your career. I'm like, and he's like, and the money is just stupid.
Yeah,
there you go.
Plus, you get the experience. You get to go and live in Japan, right?
True. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but England done well. I don't know if they can take much from it going into the New Zealand series, though.
Well, minutes. That's the important thing.
No,
right?
I know. I mean, the players will be good, but I meant like, right, we did this really well against Japan. Let's do that. I'm like, yeah, that might not work though, because it is the All Blacks and they're totally different kettle of fish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Borthwick is a horses for courses type coach, right? Like he will have a specific plan for the All Blacks. I don't think they would have wanted to give too much away in that game because I think they must really fancy that first test. Like the All Blacks coming in with no warm-up game. Like England definitely have a bit of an advantage there.
It's going to be interesting.
I can't wait.
Speaking of like New Zealand and all that, we did have the Super Rugby final. There's not really much to talk about the game because it was that one-sided. But the aftermath of the game, it's caused a stir. So Scott Robertson, also known as Razor, has named his first squad. It is very big name heavy, but for your first team, fair enough. Yeah, I get it. But there's no Hoskins Tutu. There is a Wallace Satiti though. And it's rubbed people the wrong way, and especially like an hour after the New Zealand squad was announced, Hoskins Tutu put up a picture with the caption "Most Hated." So I'm like, oh. So who knows?
I mean, he must be fuming.
He has
like
to
if,
be.
If I was in his shoes, I'd be absolutely fuming.
12 tries this season.
Yeah. I mean, look, maybe if you're Razor and you see Ardy as an 8,
yeah,
maybe you're like, do I need Ardy Jr. in the squad for the first game? You know? I mean, look, I always think like you pick your best players, right? And he's probably been the form 8 in Super Rugby all season. But you know, Robertson's a great coach. I'm guessing there's method in the madness there somewhere.
There was a lot of reports saying that it was based on like you have to be good on the attack and the defense.
He did make a comment about that in the press conference. He's like, I picked back rowers to be good on both sides of the ball. But whether, yeah, I mean, it's hard not to read that as I don't think Hoskins Tutu is that good defense.
That's basically what it sounded like. Yeah, it's like, yeah, Hoskins is great on the attack, but can't defend. Yeah. I'm like, interesting. But then, obviously, the former Fijian coach has came out, play for Fiji next year.
Play for Fiji, yeah.
Some are saying he can play for England. How is that possible?
I'm not sure. Maybe he has ancestry. I suspect, though, once the dust settles, like he'll probably be involved in the Rugby Championship. You know, they get to name different squads for the Rugby Championship. There'll be injuries by then. He must be close. There's no way he's miles off it.
There's so many different reports that have come out. So there was one. So there was like the Razor one that said he wanted like an all-round back row.
Yeah.
We said dig at Hoskins. There's people saying that Hoskins was requiring surgery. That's why he's not been picked. Apparently, that's just not true.
Oh, okay.
And then there's others saying that Hoskins has also always had an attitude problem. I'm like, I'm starting to think it's more attitude than injury, especially after the updated caption. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult when people put every tiny moment under the microscope. Like, you know, he's a young lad, isn't he? Like,
he's 2 days older than me.
So how old is he?
He's 25 right now. He's 26 in July.
Yeah. I mean,
he's 2 days older than me, and I'm 2 days older than Matt Ferguson. And look where they two are. And look where yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the social media and stuff, but I just don't believe that they've not had a conversation, him and Razor. You know, surely he would have laid the groundwork a bit. Maybe not. But if he has work on, he'll know what they are.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's always conversations with coaches, especially with players that are like on the verge. Like, look, I haven't picked you because I need you to work on this.
Yeah.
Can't work on it when there's no games, but anyway, that's just how the schedule works.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. Like, I know it's a big thing now, especially because the Blues won at the weekend. But he'll be back.
The thing I can't wrap my head around is more on the Blues, not the All Black selection. They've all said first time in 21 years. I was like, so I'm guessing Super Rugby Aotearoa doesn't count for anything.
Well, I guess not. Not for them.
Because they won it in like 2021. The Pacific. Because it was Aotearoa and then the winner of Super Rugby AU. Or then they merged, and I don't know.
Maybe everyone's just trying to memory hole that whole period.
There were 2 Super Rugbies. No, sorry, 3 Super Rugby tournaments in 1 year. Because it was Aotearoa, then it was AU, and then they all came together for Pacific, which the Blues won. But I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I tried asking Ollie Jaeger this because I was like, how many Super Rugby? Because obviously he was with the Crusaders when they were back to back to back all the time. And I went, how many Super Rugby titles do you have? And he went, 7. I went, is that including Aotearoa? And he went, we count it. I was like, yeah, but do you count it because you've won it, or does it actually count?
Well, I think you have the answer now.
No, it doesn't. So he's won 4 titles then. It's still impressive, but it's not as good as 7.
I suppose if you won it, it counts. And if you didn't, then it's easy to say, oh, that doesn't count.
It's like football though, with that Community Shield. Like, yeah, we've won
Yeah,
silver.
yeah.
Yeah, it does. Who knows? There's never going to be a right answer. But yeah, Hoskins and Tutu not in the squad. Billy Proctor is though in the
Yeah.
back. Very impressed with him. Where does he fit though? I don't know if I'll see him start. That's
Maybe not, but like Barrett and Ioane has been pretty well nailed on for a
yeah.
while. Like you probably need to just start giving people minutes in case one of them ever gets injured. I don't know if he's necessarily. I was talking to Ella about it the other day. She said she thinks he'll push Ioane for a start, but Ioane looks in really good nick at the moment.
I mean, he's came out with something ludicrous this week as well, hasn't he?
Has he? I didn't see anything.
He said that the Super Rugby title means more than the World Cup. I'm like,
again, I think you would only say that when you lost the World Cup final, not if you won it.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, you've never won a World Cup though. Your country has 3 of them. You've just been really unfortunate.
Yeah, timing hasn't been good for him, has it?
And then he went, yeah, Super Rugby titles always meant more.
Always
was the
I
key
think
word.
in the when you've just won one and you're flying on cloud 9, I think you have to allow people to say a few things.
No, it's just when you like a day after or something and you read it, I'm like, it's not though, is it?
I reckon he's just trying to rile people up.
Probably. It's worked. It gets people talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blues big win. Chiefs practically just non-existent in that final, which was sad.
Yeah.
So we wanted a closer final. But we had a nice little gap in the afternoon before Springboks went to Twickenham and just ragdolled Wales. Well, in the second half anyway. It was very tight in first.
I thought it was going to be 70 after the first sort of 10, 15 minutes. I was like, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah, I was the same.
And it was interesting because I don't think Wales did an awful lot to like wrestle control back. I think South Africa kind of fumbled it a little bit towards the end of the first half. But then second half, Wales were only ever kind of hanging in there, and they credit to them. The effort levels are off the charts. I don't know how you pick yourself up for another lung buster and a huge tackle when every time you get the ball, you're going nowhere. But the effort levels are ridiculous, but South Africa just had so much more quality.
Absolutely.
Even if it was a bit disjointed, they had so many good players out there.
Mapimpi was rolling back the years, just shielding fire. Sasha Feinberg Ngomazulu is essentially pushed Sam Masuku out of the way.
I mean, that's how it looks, right?
Yeah.
I think it's for the 6-2 because he gives you multi-position cover. Yeah.
Still interesting though, because and coming into it, everyone's like, Sam Masuku, the man right behind Andre Pollard, and he ain't in the team anymore.
The ball's on you to step on the field and then be like, I'll take that halfway line penalty, please. Those will be my first points for South Africa.
I thought he did it. I thought it was actually his second or third point, attempt at points. And then I looked back, I was, oh no, that was his first. And by the reaction, Rassie was well up for that as well. So.
Did you see his dad live tweeting the game?
Yeah, I seen your picture on it. Yeah,
so wholesome. It was amazing. I think he said his testes were in his mouth the moment that Sasha stepped up to take the kick.
Love it.
Yeah,
so that's some nudge at Twitter. We don't have altitude up here.
Nope. No, ominous signs for everyone else. Because if he's as composed and as kind of multi-talented as he looks, he's going to be a hell of a player.
It's almost like Divan was right when he kept saying
almost.
Yeah, almost.
He said second coming of Damien Willemse. Damien Willemse can't kick him from halfway like that. No. That's an extra string to the bow.
There you go. He might be better than Willemse. Who knows? But yeah, second half was just all South Africa. It was such a weird first half, though, just going back, because the discipline from both sides was shocking. Wales went down to 13. Rio Dyer and Aaron Wainwright getting yellow carded, and then Afolabi Fassi getting yellow. I thought it could have been a red, and then I've got passionate South Africans in my comments saying it shouldn't have even been a yellow, and I'm like, wait, slow down. I understand what they mean, that it's not easy to jump up with somebody coming at you and not extend your leg. I'm like, but it is a second movement. If he jumped straight away and had his leg out, fine. That's just his natural reaction. But you can quite clearly see both knees were tucked
Yeah.
and then the leg comes out.
It's a tricky one because you see it in slow motion and it looks clear. But for him, it's a slight movement, probably trying to regain his balance as he goes down towards the floor. Definitely, he had one thought. He's definitely got an eye on protecting himself, right? Like you want to get your legs in front of you on the way down, but he just put it out too far. But I thought the refs. I mean, I guess I thought they handled it quite well. I was worried they were going to send him off in the moment.
I think again, I'm getting really bad for this. I'll see something initially and be like, "It's this decision," and then the minute I see it again, I'm like, "Probably not." So like initial viewing, I was like, "That's a red. You've kicked him in the face." And then obviously when they looked at it again, I was like, "Oh no, you've not kicked him in the face, but you still like put your foot out to do something." And when they went yellow, I was like, "Yeah, okay, I can." There's no.
It just felt like they split the difference, though, didn't it? It sort of felt like we don't really know what to do.
Can't say just penalty. We can't give him a red card.
Yeah.
Go off for 10 minutes, please. Please go off for 10 minutes, and you come back on, you'll be fine.
He had a good game, otherwise, though, Fassi.
He did. So did Edville van der Merwe.
Yeah.
Debut, got a try. He was everywhere. And you're never told to get your debut. But Dion Fury already showed that last year. Age is but a number at this point. Sticking with South Africa, because it did happen and nobody expected it to happen. But I did call it, because just to be different, Glasgow, in Pretoria, URC champions.
Some result.
Some effort. What a second. I don't know what Franco Smith told his team changing rooms, but it worked. How good was, where did I start? Matt Ferguson, Jack Dempsey, Hugh Jones, Sione Tuipulotu. Unreal effort from all the team, essentially. But
yeah, Xander Ferguson playing 80 minutes at altitude.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's wild.
For all the positions, like maybe a fullback or a centre, yeah, you can probably do the 80.
Yeah, but front row.
A tight head prop at altitude.
Yeah,
what effort.
Very impressive.
But it was a good game. I really enjoyed it.
A bit chaotic from the Bulls. I think they missed Villy LaRue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Not how some people see it online, which is as the same. Apparently the referee cost the Bulls. And even Jake White said that. And I can't believe that annoys me. I can't believe that a head coach has went that public and went, well, that's 2 years in a row that the referee's like that. Let the away team win. I'm like, no. No.
What about when they won the semi-final at Leinster? Is that what happened then? Like, yeah. I understand he's frustrated, but surely he's long enough in the tooth to know not to say that at the press conference. Even if that's what you truly believe, like say it behind closed doors. Don't say it at the press conference.
I don't know. I read it and I'm just like, you can't be serious. You can't possibly think that. Like, look, I've always been one for trying to not blame a referee if like my team or country loses a game. Obviously, there is like very special exceptions, but for the most part, like, well, no, we could have scored at this point. We had a penalty here or whatever, and I'm like, didn't do it. Bulls had their chances. The ball was held up.
Yeah.
When
how about that for drama, though?
I was when they kept having to like give away, when Glasgow kept giving away penalties and Bulls kept kicking for the corner, I was like, there's only so much pressure you can take.
Yeah.
Before
it happens.
And you just need to fall back and the Bulls score a try.
But one of the best mauls in the division. Yeah.
Just what they do, isn't it? Yeah. George Turner with a perfect send-off.
Yeah. Not bad. Win a trophy, then go off and collect the mega bucks. That's pretty good.
Easy money, apparently, according to Colin Slade. So who knows? But I was getting a lot of stick for it online because everyone knows I am a diehard Edinburgh fan. But unlike pretty much every other Northern Hemisphere country, there's no tribalism. if it's not Edinburgh versus Glasgow, the Glasgow boys will root for Edinburgh to do well, and Edinburgh will root for Glasgow to do well. The only time there's any beef, and I'm putting that in quotation marks because it's just advertised as that, is the 1872 Cup at Christmas time. Every other time, like there's a video of Darcy Graham last week saying, I really want Glasgow to do well. Yeah, why wouldn't you?
To be fair, I think that's true of the majority of Ireland fans as well. Like, I know there's loud voices who really hate each other, particularly like Munster and Leinster fans. But for the most part, you just want to see Irish teams do well. Like, I'd always support Munster in the latter stages of European competition or the URC or anything like that.
Unless they're against your team, which is totally understandable. Yeah, I'm the same.
But even if you do lose, like, it is consolation that there's an Irish team in the next round, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But, you know, some people take it a bit more seriously, I guess.
So seriously, it's almost like I have to keep saying to people, it's not football.
Yeah.
It doesn't run that deep. We're all friends. We could all sit amongst each other and get drunk.
Sure, isn't that the heart of the game at the end of the day? That's what we love about it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I went to the Champions Homecoming at Scotstoun. I've been fortunate enough to know some of the players on a personal level. So I seen Sione Vailano. He obviously knows I'm an Edinburgh fan, and seen me and went, have you switched sides? I was like, behave. I'm not that. And then, like, I was like, no, it's just because you did really well, and we didn't, and that's it, really.
Yeah, that's it.
I was like, did you beat Edinburgh to advance? No. Did you beat us in the final? No. So, like, who cares? And it looks really good for Scotland rugby. And how do we get to celebrate it? By going to the Americas. Whoop-de-doo.
It's a shame you don't have bigger games off the back of that.
Even give us Australia, and I'm not being rude to Wales. We could have deserved that Australia series more than Wales.
Well, I think Wales might need it more than you.
Yeah, I know, but I want us to have a real summer tour. I don't know what we have to do. It's so tricky. But bless you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, big win for Glasgow against all odds. They did it the hardest way I can imagine, looking back on the route to the final. Hosting the Stormers goes either way because the Stormers don't really travel well. But going to Thomond Park against the defending champions, who are your biggest rivals in the URC.
And kind of your bogey team, right? Like,
yeah. Because didn't Munster absolutely thump Glasgow in the regular?
I've forgotten, honestly. There's been so many games this season. But I know, like, overall, Munster have definitely had the better of them in, like, over the last 10 games or whatever. Yeah. But it's funny that they kind of mirrored Munster's run last year. Like, Munster went and won away at Glasgow and then managed to get the win in Dublin against Leinster. But, yeah. And then I suppose the Munster one, they won away against Leinster and they won away in South Africa. Whereas Glasgow had the Stormers at home, but still so impressive.
And yeah, altitude against all odds, like I just said, it's awesome. I am looking forward to next season.
I think it was as we talked about, though. I think the Bulls had their big emotional performance against Leinster. I think they left it all out there.
I think they, and again, every big team does it at some point. They always think, oh, it's just Glasgow. Don't worry about it. No, worry about it. That would happen. They did it in the regular. They let it slip against Glasgow, but managed to have enough points on it that Glasgow couldn't catch them.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't work out this time.
Nope.
you had a shorter range, but yeah, well done, Glasgow, and well done to friends of the show, now champions. It's great having champions interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
Do we talk about Barbarians Fiji? I didn't enjoy it.
I didn't even see it. I was rugbyed out at that point.
I did have it. It was at the point I had it more as background noise, but I always think the Barbarians game is a piss up. You have a laugh.
Yeah.
You let second rows take a kick at goal. It doesn't mean anything. It's a bit of fun to end a massive season.
Yeah.
The referee took it too seriously. To begin with, anyway.
I mean, does it count as a test match? I guess from a referee's perspective, you have to treat it like any other big international game.
I think from a refereeing point, yeah, but as players don't get capped, so you could play. You could play for England against Barbarians, not get capped, and then like 6 months later play for Ireland or Wales. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, interesting.
That's because I only know that because Johnny Williams played in a Barbarians game for England and was in the next Wales squad and got capped.
Okay.
So I always thought it used to be a cap. Like, let's get the young lads in, let's get them their debut. Nothing too like stakes aren't that high. It's weird now. It's like when you played for the Lions.
Yeah.
You have played for the Lions, but you've not been capped by the Lions. I don't know. Weird grey area. It was fun though. It looked all right.
Always entertaining.
Sam White got a good send off.
Yeah.
Legendary career.
Yeah.
Didn't think they'd have him and David Ribbons in a second row together, but that's the joy of the Barbarians.
I hope he had a good last party during the week. I hope it lived up to it for him.
I'll find out. There's potential guests coming on that was on the Barbarians teams. Oh, can't say. No, I'll find out and let you know. That was pretty much. Oh, PWR, the women's premiership.
Yes.
Gloucester went back to back on a comeback as well. 17-7 down. And then I don't know what was said in that changing room. But the Cherry and Whites were sensational. Emma Singh was fantastic again on the scoreboard and great off the kick and tee. Tatiana Hard was possessed. Never seen a centre that keen for turnovers. Zoe Aldcroft, the names go on and on. Gloucester go back to back. It was awesome to see. Bristol, it's not all doom and gloom because you managed to beat Saracens, which nobody expected in the semi-final, and you were in control of the defending champions for about 50, 55 minutes. So onwards and upwards. Going
onwards
forward.
And upwards is right.
Yeah. And then just rugby news, really. We've already kind of went over Scott Robertson's All Blacks team. Joe Schmidt's named his first Wallabies team. That is definitely a fresh lick of paint.
Yeah. Nice balance.
Yeah, I like the balance. Don't know if Curtly Beale would have been my...
I'm surprised he's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because he's based in Australia, because he will bring a lot of smarts. Like, that was the first thing I noticed was like, because the out half options are still young, right? They're all still quite green, but bringing in a playmaker like Curtly Beale, he's going to teach them so much at training. And I think that's kind of the main reason he's in there, you know, like Schmidt even said, like, you know, maybe he'll get on the field at some point, but like Schmidt made it quite clear, I think, that he's there as an elder statesman to kind of guide players. But interesting to see how they go. Because if he, I mean, Wales just look in disarray, right? Like all the Sam Parry stuff and all the background stuff that's going on with them. If he can get Australia humming, I reckon they could end up with quite handy victories.
What's the Sam Parry thing?
That he left the squad. Because he basically, I think, to paraphrase the whole thing, is that he thought that he'd been invited into the squad as a full, like a proper considered member of the playing group. Like he might be able to go on the tour and all this kind of stuff. And he's ended up holding tackle bags. They didn't even have enough gear for him. And he just felt kind of shafted and pushed to the side. And Gatlin sort of saw it differently. But, you know, it feels like these things always happen when everything's going badly, right? Whatever about the detail.
This happened in Scotland as well. I don't know if it was badly or not, but like Sean Maitland got called up to the Scotland team.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it was I think Doohan was ill, and they called Sean Maitland in. And again, he was just holding tackle pads, etc. And during like one session, he like dropped a pad and went, "Am I actually in contention to play?"
Yeah.
And I think Gregor, as like head coach, said, "Oh well, you know, if you can do this." So he was like, "Well, because if I'm not playing, I'd rather be at home with the wife and kids." And I was like, "You know what? That is fair." If you're not in any, if you're not even getting thought of getting any game time, don't even pick them. That goes for all coaches.
But the thing is, you need some bodies in there, right? Like you need some people to do those things. And
but it just feels really weird, especially for an international team. Surely, like even if you have 35, 37, have an idea of playing them or coming off the bench or something. Don't just be like, you're just going to be standing holding a tackle bag for a month. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I think that would be very difficult mentally for a player. But I mean, it's the way it is, man. There's always fringe players in squads. There's nothing anyone can do about that. And because the thing is, a couple of bad injuries, and all of a sudden you're not fringe anymore, right? So you need to be ready. That's the thing. But if as an individual you're like, well, I'd rather not be here, then I guess the problem is you're assuming the risk then of whatever happens after that. Like if that turns the coach against you, you better wait until there's a new coach. Like you better hope there's a change.
There's no right way. There's no good answer to do it.
No, not at all.
Ireland's named their squad. I think that kind of happened in between the last episode and this one. So
yeah,
nothing.
Gibson Park out was a big thing, but other tthan that, no major surprises. Is a Chukwu. Interesting bolter. Looking forward to seeing him. I'm a little bit worried with JGP gone just because he's like he comes up with so many clutch moments for us. But we'll see. It's a big chance for Craig Casey.
It has to be. Surely you're not starting Conor Murray.
Well, they might start Murray in the first test. I do think there's a chance they might go for the experience, but Casey is the heir apparent, so he's got to get minutes on the tour. And he's had a good season.
He started for Munster. Him and Crowley are your halfbacks for Munster. So
yeah, I mean, look, that continuity will be handy. So we'll see.
We will. I think that's it. Any other teams? Any other news? Vakatawa's left Bristol Bears. I've read that. I think he's going to go back to France.
Go back where the money is.
Money, possibly a return to the international scene.
Yeah.
Sevens pool was out for the Olympics. No Team GB in the men's.
I didn't see that.
There was I will butcher how you say it, a reprisage. A last chance tournament in Monaco.
Yeah.
And South Africa. Again, two teams that really shouldn't be looking for a last step qualification, but South Africa beat Team GB 14-5 in the final in Monaco. They're going to the Olympics. Team GB men aren't, but Team GB women are. The groups for the men is, I believe it's New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland. I can't remember the last one. I want to say China. I could be wrong there. But it's Group C for the men that's really stacked. It's Argentina, France, Fiji, and Uruguay.
Geez, looking forward to that.
That'll be fun. That's going to be really fun. And Group B is just sort of there. Like you kind of see who's going through groups. It's the same for the women. I think Group B is a group of death because you've got Team GB, you've got Ireland and Australia all in that same group. And I'm like, that's ridiculous.
That's going to be big.
Must watch.
Absolutely.
And it keeps us busy over the summer as well.
Absolutely.
That's it, really.
Yeah. I've got to wrap it up, I'm afraid, Murray.
No, you're all good. We've kind of all just. It does help that everything that happened was all in the one day.
Yeah.
So next episode's going to be interesting because there is no games. We've done no predictions. If you've not noticed this episode, because there's the top 14 final. That's it. Which I have full confidence that Toulouse will win.
Yeah. I mean, they're the best team in it.
Absolutely. And so next week we might have a little surprise for you previewing the summer tours. And there might be many, many faces. We don't know yet. So
Let's see.
Stay tuned for that. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Give Andy a follow on TikTok. He's at RugbyNause. If you like what I do, please, if you like what I do, I'm on TikTok as well at BlissfulRugby HQ. And until next week, we'll see you later. And have a
see you
good
next time, guys.
One.